Hello, hello. Anyone out there who might be watching this either now or later, welcome to my little live stream. It's a Friday night and I just finished my first week as a junior software engineer at Novatech Consulting. I'm working from home at the moment because of Corona, but I will be getting to visit their office next week, luckily. But for now, it's almost entirely remote, of course, and so that has added its own few challenges, but on the whole, it's been a really great first week. I wanted to begin just by talking about, I guess, what I expected. I think that's usually quite a good place to start. So in terms of expectations, I've read and heard a lot. I'm very active on Twitter, and a lot of people were talking to me about impostor syndrome, about the feeling of being overwhelmed, of not knowing who to talk to, and I was expecting that. You know, I came into it really feeling ready to be completely out of my depth and to be completely mystified at what was going on and to really feel, I suppose, confused and strange. And I didn't feel any of that. And that was a really great surprise. There were a lot of things that were confusing, of course. I mean, just the usual things where you start at any new workplace, how things work, who do you talk to about what's the procedure for XYZ, you know, just the usual. That was confusing, but I don't think any more so than any other job I've been in before. But on the whole, I've been really pleasantly surprised by how secure I've felt, by how willing everyone has been to help me and to be there and to have me ask them questions. If anything, I actually feel a little bad because so many people have come to me and said, hey, welcome. If you have any questions, let me know. And it's hard to be like, okay, I will, but I have like 15, maybe not 15, I have like 10 other people who are also saying this to me. So then when I have a problem, it's almost like I have too many people to choose from as to who to go to. And I have to kind of think to myself, okay, who would be best placed to answer these questions? You know, obviously, if it's a project question, go to my project lead. If it's a question about my local office, go to the head of that office. If it's a general admin question, do I ask the admin people first, or should I just check with a colleague first? That side of things has been a little confusing, but in a good way. I think obviously you'd much rather have too many people there to help you than feel like you're struggling. And I haven't felt like I'm struggling, which has been a big relief. For those who don't know, I come from a web development and JavaScript background, and I'm now in a position where I'm learning full stack software engineering, which mainly utilizes Java, Spring Boot, Kotlin, and including, you know, databases, relational and SQL. And so it's a whole new world for me in many ways. But I've been invited into a few sessions to have a look at the projects that I'll be working on. At this stage, I'm mostly focusing just learning or just catching up on the basics of Java and Kotlin, and then Spring Boot after that. So I managed to get through all of the basics on Java this week. I did have a little bit of an advantage in that I took some time before the job began to look into Java and its similarities and differences with JavaScript. So that gave me an advantage as well. So I suppose my next piece of advice would be, if you're going into a position where you are unfamiliar with the stack, if you do have some time to check out that programming language or technology before you are able to go into the job, then I would really recommend doing that, because I definitely feel like that has saved me a lot of time. I probably would have taken twice as long with catching up on the basics if I hadn't done that preparatory work in advance. Not that I took the preparatory work particularly seriously, because I didn't have, I wasn't in the job yet. I didn't want to push myself too much when I still had a little bit of free time. I mostly relaxed, but I did still have a little bit of a look, and I wasn't completely out of my depth. So yeah, this afternoon I finally started then looking a little more into Kotlin, or just starting to look at the differences between Java and Kotlin. And I have to say, from the 1 hour YouTube video that I've been looking into and practicing from, I have to say I really like it. I've been really pleasantly surprised. I had heard people say that Kotlin is more restrictive than Java, and I'm sure that that's true in some ways, but personally I feel like it's a little closer to JavaScript, maybe like a JavaScript TypeScript kind of feeling in a lot of senses. And I really like that. In particular, the way that you can assign a lot of logic directly to variables, declare and initialize variables with more complex logic. So I'm really enjoying that. What else? Oh, you guys, it's been so much. It's been such a big week. I've obviously been a bit overwhelmed by how tired I've felt. I don't think I was expecting that I would feel so tired at the end of the day. Obviously, my brain is doing a lot of work right now, trying to learn a lot of programming languages. But yes. I don't know what that is, Green Planet. I don't know what Nyama Choma is, so I'm sorry. Probably no, I guess, would be my answer. I can't develop that if I don't know what it is. So yeah, this has been my first week. What else do I feel like I've learned? I posted yesterday. Let me see. How did I phrase it? I feel like I phrased it well, and I want to quote myself, as weird as that is. I said that the 4 things that I'm doing, okay, the first is asking questions. So whenever things are unclear to me, and so far there hasn't been a lot because, as I said, it's only my first week. I'm mostly still just learning a programming language. It's not a situation where a lot of questions are coming up. I'm sure once I actually dig into the code base that I'll be working with, that's when a lot more questions will pop up in terms of the relationship between things. But I'm making a point to ask questions. And for example, my project lead was actually doing some work earlier in the week on an issue that involved our database, and I asked if I could join, and he was fine with that. And when I got to observe that, I was able to ask quite a lot of questions about how it works, what each item in the database means, or how it interacts with other parts of the logic of the program. And of course, I'm lucky in a way in that I've always been that person to ask a lot of questions. I'm that really annoying person in your class who's like, oh, what about now? And what's this question? And what's this one? But it pays off. So it might seem really annoying to other people, but luckily it works in getting the information into your head. Hi, Paolo. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, welcome. The other thing about asking questions is that it shows that you're engaged and that you're trying to understand. If you're just kind of nodding along, and especially right now because of remote work, if you're just kind of nodding along or not saying a lot, the person on the other side doesn't necessarily know. They don't know if you're checking your email on the other screen, or if you're actually watching, or if you're actually trying to puzzle it out. They can't tell, right? Nobody else is a mind reader. No one can look into your brain and see why you're not asking a question. They might just see you not asking questions and assume that's because you don't care, or assume that's because you understand everything. Or on the other side, they might assume you understand nothing at all and don't even know where to start. A piece of feedback that I got this week was that they said, oh, you're asking questions and you're asking good questions. And so that way, by asking the questions, even if I were completely out of my depth, I'm showing that I'm interested. I'm showing also what parts I am understanding and what parts I'm not. Hi, Rob. Hi. Welcome. And then the other thing about asking questions is that it allows the other people to think a little bit. And I'll come back to this in my later point. The second thing that I pointed out in my tweet that I thought is really important is being curious. Now, obviously, this relates very strongly to asking questions. You're not going to ask questions if you're not curious about anything. But I do think it's worth having a little look beyond the surface of just what you're given, and of taking that extra little step. Like, for example, I was able to do all of these exercises with this Java learning that I've been doing this week. I was able to do all the exercises relatively easily, but there were a few things where I wanted to do something more elegantly. I could see it and I could go, yeah, I know it works. And I would know how to do this very elegantly with JavaScript. But in Java, I feel like, and it's probably true, that I'm very clunky with the tools that I've got. And so I went out of my way to then also talk to my project lead about that and said, look, I'm trying to do this thing. It works in JavaScript. It doesn't work in Java. Is there any equivalent? How do we get around it? And we kind of talked it through. We talked about the themes of memory management and assign by value versus assign by reference, which is something I did not know at all this week, before this week. Although I did know it, just actually not with that terminology. But that terminology was really new to me. So we talked about that, and it led to a really great conversation that also, I think, made things even better. Yeah, Rustam, I can talk about that, but I'll talk about that when I'm done with these points. That's not a problem. Thanks. And Pete's called me out a little bit here. Pete has said, elegant is often the enemy of readable. That's true, and I totally understand what you're saying. But in this particular case, the problem I had, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's not like a secret. It was just like some little Java exercise I was doing. The problem was it was working with, if I'm not mistaken, arrays, I think with arrays. And the idea was that once you've done all the stuff with the array, then at the end to pull out the maximum number, the top number, the highest number of the lot. And obviously I know how to do this with sort in JavaScript. But in Java, the only way I could find to do it was to modify the original array. You can't assign a sorted array or anything along those lines. And I didn't want to modify the order of the original array in order to just get the top number. So I was kind of talking with my lead about this and kind of trying to work out how can I do this in a way that doesn't impact the original array. And so this led to a really good conversation about, as I said, value. Hang on. Oh gosh, now I'm stuck. Value by reference. Oh no, I'm all over the place now. You know what I mean. So that was a really good conversation to have, and also that kind of led into a bit of more discussion about OOP and methods in OOP and that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly, Pete. Yeah, more like idiomatic. But that's the thing. It was really clunky what I had done. Like, it worked, but I knew it wasn't right. Like it achieved all the goals that I had on the page, right, on paper, but it wasn't good code, and I knew that. And so that kind of led into that point I was saying about being curious and why I think that's so important. Because if I hadn't had that extra level of curiosity, I would have just been like, well, it works, I'll just keep going. And to be fair, I do that quite often when I'm learning a programming language, because I know that a lot of this stuff comes with time. But I do think that taking that extra step every now and then to really understand how you could do something a bit more cleanly is important. The third thing I said that I'm standing by is the idea of commenting openly. So something else that happened with my project lead this week is that I didn't like a solution to a problem that we were shown. And I said that. I said, yeah, something. I said, oh yeah, I understand this, these are my questions, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, one thing I don't like is the way in which we've used parameters here, because I feel like it could expand into like an endless parameter list if we're not careful in terms of maintainability in the long term. So we had a little discussion around that, and that was really good. And that was another thing that I was told later in the week was a real plus, that I had made comments that the comment wasn't positive, right? But it was constructive. And I wasn't being like, oh, I'm a junior, I don't know anything, I shouldn't say anything, he obviously knows better than me. I mean, he does obviously know better than me, but nevertheless, I still had some input to give, and I was clearly thinking about the code a bit more deeply. Oh God, Pete. Okay. can lead to a discussion about performance. Sorting just to get the biggest value can not only disrupt the array ordering, but also is much slower. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I know. Exactly. And I was just looking at it going, oh, this is not good. I mean, it's fine when you're working with an array of integers, like that's about 5 integers long, but long term, probably not the best habit to get into. Okay, and then the last point that I wanted to talk about before I kind of go into questions or general chit chat for a Friday night is developing my programming knowledge. And I've spoken a little bit about this at the beginning, but obviously one of my main responsibilities as a junior is to get good. Anyone from the gaming world knows this get good saying, and that's basically what I have to do. I feel very lucky that I feel like I'm a bit of a natural with coding. It seems to work with my brain. The problem solving element anyway does. And even things like syntax, I seem to pick up on quite quickly. I'm not scared of failing, and I'm not scared to look up new things. And I find that I can put solutions together relatively quickly. So I have an advantage in that sense. That said, as I said, I've been really pleasantly surprised with how open everyone has been to me taking the time to learn things properly. I think something that a lot of people who are new to industry or who are just looking for their first job forget is that everyone has been in their first programming job before. Like, everyone who's above you has been there. They've been in that situation where they're a little bit out of their depth, or they're a bit confused, or they've never seen a code base this big before and they can't work out how it all interacts. It is totally normal. And they want you to succeed, right? They want you to deepen your programming knowledge. They want you to deepen your DevOps knowledge, or how everything fits together. They want that for you. And most of the time, it's not just me. I've heard this from a lot of other people in their first jobs. A lot of people feel like the first few months are really just getting up to speed with what the basics of the code base are and what the basics of their workplace operations, I suppose, or DevOps kind of aspect of things are. So I would say that was the fourth thing, or kind of the fifth. Which is develop your knowledge, take your time, do things thoroughly and well, and don't feel like there's a timeline. Very few places, when they hire a junior, especially someone like me who doesn't have much experience, very few places are hiring someone like me expecting me to be amazing or contribute a lot in my first week. So there's very little pressure in that regard. And I think that's something that you should really take advantage of and expand your knowledge happily. Hi, Francesco. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining me. I suppose those are the main things from me in terms of my first week as a junior developer, what I've been focusing on, and how I would extrapolate that for other people. But I'm really happy to hear from you guys now, hear if you've got any questions. Answer them as best I can while we can just hang out for a little while, and then maybe just see how we go. So shoot, I suppose the first one I should answer was from Rustam about tech Twitter. Let me just mute my microphone, have a sip of water, and then I'll answer that question. I have this thing with this microphone. It picks up every little detail. So if I ever catch myself sipping water or anything like that, it comes across on this microphone crystal clear. So I like to mute when I do that. Pete, no, it wasn't Pete. Sorry, Pete. It was Rustam. Could you talk more about your tweet? I think people are tired of seeing the same conversation jokes memes. They want to know what people are building and how. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I've spoken to quite a few friends about this. Quite a few of my friends, especially the ones I originally became friends with early on in my time in tech Twitter have taken Twitter breaks. And a big part of that is because they feel like they're just seeing the same stuff over and over again. But on the flip side, I know that not everyone is building things. Yes, everyone is building things right now. And not everyone has things to show. I don't have a lot to show right now. As I said, I've just been doing little exercises, little Java exercises all week. And obviously I've been in a work environment. So for me, I haven't been sharing a lot of that stuff either. So I certainly haven't been sharing a lot about what I've been building either. I've been trying to share a lot more about the job market since I know a lot of people are interested in that since I'm just starting. But I know that that is something that is hard for people on both sides. So on the one hand, you have people who aren't necessarily building things right now or can't share what they're working on right now, who want to be active in the Twitter space. But on the flip side, to make up for that, it does mean that a lot of the time we're using the same jokes, the same comments, the same memes. Personally, I don't mind them. I'm one of these people who I actually don't tend to get annoyed by the trends like tell me you're a developer without telling me you're a developer, or offend a developer with one tweet. I actually quite like all that stuff. So for me personally, it doesn't bother me. But when someone asks me like what's going on with tech Twitter, why are so many people leaving? I know why it is. It's something that bothers a lot of people, even when it doesn't bother me. How does the first week... Oh, how is your new job? Well, I just answered that in a lot of detail, Francesco, so you might have to watch that one back later. The general feeling is that it's very supportive, and I've been really pleasantly surprised with how at home I felt. I was expecting to feel a lot more lost and confused, and I'm sure that day is still coming, but for now I feel really surprised at how comfortable I feel. How does the first week of being a software engineer compare to starting out as an opera singer? So far, a lot easier. But I that might not be a popular thing to say. But it's definitely true. I think the difference is that coding is my calling. Opera, I mean, I was a good opera singer. I was a good performer. I was especially good on the stage. But the thing with music is that it's also very technically complex. And unlike coding, I never fully felt like I understood the system of music or the language of music. I tried many, many times. For some reason, music theory is not something that stuck well in my head. And that was always something that held me back. I think because I came to music relatively late in life, that meant that I was at a bit of a disadvantage. I didn't learn chord progressions on these kinds of things as a teenager, which is when most professional musicians learn them. So in that respect, I found when I started as an opera singer, I felt a lot more unsure of myself than I do now. Like right now, I feel quite comfortable and confident. Brenda, hi. I'm self-learning development and have been feeling like I'll never be ready to apply to an actual job. Yeah. Do you have any tips to fight imposter syndrome or how to get ready to apply? Oh man, that's a big question. So I've written a blog post about imposter syndrome. Hang on, I will find it for you. It's a slightly controversial. I think it's slightly controversial, but actually it had a really great reception, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was just normal. Here we go. But I believe, I'm going to post it in chat for you. Oh, sign into chat. Oh no. Okay, I can't. I'm sorry. This is really annoying. I apparently have to sign into my own YouTube in order to chat with you guys. Okay, here we go. All right, that's the link. The basic gist of my belief with regards to imposter syndrome is that imposter syndrome occurs when you go into an environment with the mindset of proving how good you are. Like when you view a workplace as somewhere that you go to essentially prove to yourself that you're good enough, or to prove to others that you are good enough, then you're fucked. Like, to put it quite bluntly, like, you're already fucked at that point. Like, you have to, yeah, that is just like the totally wrong mindset. So if you're going in being like, okay, I have to show that I can do this, I have to show if I can do this, like, you got to throw that out the window. That's your ego talking, right? That's you trying to prove to yourself that you are as good as you think, right? Or as good as you can be. It's perfectionism. It's all these kinds of things. It's control. It's all this kind of stuff like that can build up and create a bad mindset. So my belief is that you have to go into workplaces or go into any environment where you might feel imposter syndrome. You have to go in and see it as a learning opportunity, right? So more like a school, right? You don't rock up to, well, at least I don't think you do. I don't think you rock up to like your first day at school being like, oh my God, I have to prove how amazing I am. You go in being like, oh my God, there's so much to learn. There's like, I've got a lot to learn. Okay, let's go. Like, oh, this person knows more than me. They know so much more than me. This is awesome. They can help me. Bring me up to their level. As an example, I used to learn to salsa dance. I used to love salsa dancing at the weekend and in the evenings. And one of the main criteria that I would use to determine who I would dance with at salsa clubs was if they were better than me. Why would I want to put myself in an environment or a situation where I'm dancing with someone who is not going to challenge me or make me a better dancer, right? Because if I dance with someone who's a bit above my level or even much above my level, I'm probably going to come out of that interaction a better dancer. So I think of coding and programming, I guess, the same way. Like, I want to be in an environment where I'm not the best in the room. If I'm the best in the room, there's a problem, right? So yeah, I guess, yeah, sorry. I'm talking, sorry, I do ramble a bit. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. But yeah, that's the idea. The idea for me is to go into these environments with a learning mindset rather than a proving mindset. So yeah. And in terms of the other part of your question, because I didn't answer the first part of your question, or the second part actually it was of your question, how do you get ready? How do you get ready to apply? I would say once you feel confident in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, ideally one front-end library like React, Vue, or Angular, but not even necessarily, but ideally with one of those. And probably for good measure, I'd throw Bootstrap or Tailwind in there as well. But then I would say you can start applying. So yeah, that's definitely what I would say in terms of being ready for a front-end position at the very least, a junior front-end position. Also in terms of applying, I know it's really tempting to view applying for jobs as being like this huge monumental thing that you're doing, but just remember that like this is just par for the course. Like there are a lot of companies out there looking for developers. There are a lot of positions out there and positions change over time. Even if you apply to a company that rejects you this month, there's no reason that in 3 months they won't have another position that is actually really suitable for you. So I don't think, don't put too much pressure on yourself, basically. Just create a little document, send it out, get going. Try it out. Plus, even when you fail, right? It's great. It's good practice. You've now got practice for when the right job comes along. So that's also, you got to view it in a positive light. Paolo says that's true with sport as well. Better competition always teaches you more. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I guess other than that, how are you guys? I've talked a lot about myself, but I'd love to hear about you. The background, yeah, you like it? This is actually my desktop background. Hang on. I'll hide myself for a second. You can have a look. Hi, Danny, by the way. All right, so if we hide me. Ooh. Ah. And look, I'll show you. I have 3 monitors. Oops, that's me. I don't want to change me. I want to change that. I have 3 monitors, and each one has a different image, and they're all by the same photographer. Here's the other one of the other ones you can see. Ooh, geometric. Do you know what? I don't know if any of you guys, or any of you folks watch Star Trek, but to me, these kind of things, these kind of artworks feel very Vulcan, and that makes me feel like a smarty pants. So, and here's the other one. This is my personal favorite. Now let's see if I can get this one up. Ooh, so many lines. Isn't that nice? So yeah, I'll bring myself back now. Hi. It's me. How you doing? I have very little makeup on, but I think you'll forgive me. So yeah, I guess that's really it from me. But I'm really glad that you guys dropped by. Oh, that you all dropped by. I've got this bad habit of gendering that language. Guys is so embedded in me. I'm going to try to get it out of my system, but it's stuck in there for now. I know about it. Anyone watching at home thinking about it, I know about it. I got to change it. Done with CSS. Yeah, okay, that's the challenge. All right, if anyone wants a CSS challenge, the challenge is create this artwork with CSS. Have fun. I'm sure we have some folks out there in the Twitter world who could do it. We have a lot of very enthusiastic CSS art folk out there. Okay, everyone. Well, I'm going to leave it there. But this was lots of fun. I like doing this live as well. And I like being able to take questions and answer stuff back. Of course, not all of it has been about my first week as a junior software engineer. But that's fine. It's been really pleasant, and also it means I don't have to edit any videos, which is always a plus. I will do a shout out on Sunday. If you know Sydney Buckner, I should find her address for you. But she and I are doing a live event on Sunday around this time as well. And it will be lots of fun. I may or may not be drinking alcohol as part of the process. Not that I really need it because I'm already energetic enough. Here we go. I've found it. Copy link address. That's what we want. Is that actually a link address? I think it is. Yeah, I'll be there on Sunday night on her channel. She'll be baking. So she'll be in her kitchen. Like, I don't even know what she's going to make, but I intend to help her and commentate the situation because I cannot bake. I am useless. So she's going to be baking. I'm going to be drinking and talking. And hopefully some of y'all, I can't really say y'all, Danny, it doesn't work. I'm Australian. Hopefully some of you folk can come and join us. And yeah, have fun. Come hang out. I'm sure that it wouldn't be bad if one of two of you wanted to phone in as well. It would be wonderful. And Dial Dimba says, I got your video suggested by the YouTube algorithm. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, I'm just leaving now. But thank you for the congratulations. It has been a wonderful first week. And I just feel so lucky to have found such a wonderful company and to have such wonderful people around me. I'm not just saying that because there's a chance they could be watching. But they are legitimately wonderful, and I feel very supported. And yeah, I also feel very supported by all of you. I suppose before I do finally leave, because I've been going for a while now, I do want to say thank you to everyone who's here and who's not here, who have supported me and lifted me up and who retweeted my video when I posted it. It was because of the video, that introduction video that I post on Twitter, that I found this position that I'm in today. And it really is just such a wonderful, like, it just fits me, this job. And I feel very lucky to have found my calling in programming and engineering. And I'm just a bit of a sap. I have to be honest. I'm a little bit of a sap, and I appreciate all of you. And if you are someone who likes to chat as well, then let's set something up and we'll chat here. Another time, we'll do another live and I'll chat to you, whoever you are. I mean, a few weeks ago, Francesca and I did a random chat with 15 minutes notice. And if we can do it, anyone can do it. So yes, thank you everyone for joining me. And I will see you all on Twitter, or maybe on here, maybe on Sydney's channel on Sunday. And if so, I really appreciate you being there, and you're all wonderful. Stay great. Keep supporting each other. Keep lifting each other up. Let's become awesome together. Bye.